What is up, everybody? Welcome to the video version of the podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. I hope you enjoy this as much as I did. This week, I'm talking to Jo Braga, who has a YouTube channel called Playhouse, where she does, well, just go check it out. Listen to this episode and then go check out her YouTube channel. It is extremely impressive what she is pulling off over there. I absolutely love it, and that's why I wanted to get her on to talk about her story and talk about all that. So let's get into this episode. But before we do, I have one quick thing of business I need to get to real fast. During the month of January 2023, us at Stringjoy are giving away a 2018 Gibson SG Standard in Cherry. It is a beautiful instrument, and this has absolutely nothing to do with Gibson at all. It's just a guitar that we found that we thought was really, really cool, and we wanted to give it away to one lucky person. All you have to do to enter is go to stringjoy.com and make a purchase of any sort. Alternatively, you can make a purchase at any Stringjoy authorized retailer, send the receipt to contestentry@stringjoy.com, and we'll throw your name in the hat that way. The easiest way, though, and this will help set you up if we ever do this again in the future, is to have an active subscription. So if you activate a subscription and it's in good standing before January 31st, 2023, you will also be automatically entered to win this Gibson SG Standard. These are the three easiest ways to enter. If you want the full rules, go to stringjoy.com/giveaway-rules, and you can read up there. And of course, void where prohibited and all that stuff. So anyway, wanted to give you folks an opportunity to win a rad guitar. That's how you do it. Now, enough business. Let's get into the episode right now. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Tone Mob Podcast, the show about guitar stuff occasionally. Sometimes. I'm your host, Blake Weiland, and with me today, I have Jo Braga from Playhouse. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going? Everything's going fine here.
That's great to hear. We were just talking on the internet about how we've been talking on the internet, off and on in some capacity
Yes.
for, I don't know, 3 to 7 years. I have no idea, even, honestly, at this point.
Yeah, I think we're all like ships passing the night. We're all like, hey, I see your post. Hey, how's it going? Hey. And interact that way. And then over time, we're just like, yeah, we're friends.
Yeah, we're friends now. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. We talk about it occasionally on Chasing Tone, but like I've recorded hundreds of hours of podcasts with Wampler at this point. I don't even know how many. And we've hung out in total in person for maybe 30 minutes.
Oh my God.
Like at NAMM, like, hey, so maybe it's closer to 45 to an hour at this point. But yeah, we've never even gotten to like sit down and eat dinner. It's just,
oh my God.
It's so
like
weird.
I know them, but in person, yeah, we've maybe like said 5 words.
Yeah. It's a bizarre connection that we develop doing all this internet stuff all the time.
Yeah, and the fact that we can, because of like social media and all the platforms, we can talk to people from, across the waters, across the US. Like it's incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We can do podcasts. We can do all kinds of stuff. It's great. But I don't, despite all that, despite the fact that we've talked a bunch on the internet, I don't actually know that much about you other than you're very talented and you really like guitar pedals. That's what I know about you. So how did you start playing music? I mean, you also sing, you do all kinds of stuff. Like, what got you into music in the first place? What
got me into music in the first place is, I guess, if we want to go way back, is just listening to music with my parents. I mean, just in the backseat, being a kid growing up, and singing in the car with my dad. And that's basically, I guess, where I began singing. And that's, for the most part, for quite a while. Didn't like music teachers at all. They didn't like me. Eventually, I got to the point where I started picking up a ukulele at one point, and then that's pretty much what started me as the entry point into playing with Vex pedals, believe it or not.
Really?
Yes. Ukuleles with Vex pedals are quite fun.
I can't say I've ever tried. I played a baritone ukulele in 3rd or 4th grade. And I was like, yeah, but it's missing 2 strings. Like, what do I do with this?
Yeah, every time before that I tried to pick up a guitar, I don't know what it was. Either it was the time period before the internet. You know, we had all these resources, like you think of Ultimate Guitar or YouTube, people being kind and doing tutorials and things like that. Was before times.
The before times,
So,
yes.
yeah, the before times. So getting into like an instrument or whatever, you were very much on your own to kind of navigate and figure out how to play or to listen and learn things. And it wasn't really until I picked up an ukulele, which was 4 strings. I guess that was the manageable half that I could get into at first. And I started with all the sizes. I went from the smallest, and then I traversed up to the baritone, and that's pretty much where I stayed. Like, that was the perfect one for me. And that's my first pedal that I got was an Earthquaker Devices Ghost Echo, and I actually bought it on Halloween, and I did not plan that.
Wow.
So it has like a little, like, it's, you know, in the background of my shelf. I always look at it affectionately. That's the one that I always keep because it's the first one.
That's interesting. So, like, my first pedal was just like a TS9, I believe. Yeah, it was. It was a regular TS9. But, like, my first delay pedal was a Solid Gold Effects Electroman. So we both kind of just dove right into the boutique side of
Yes,
pedals.
we did. Unfortunately, like, as far as like designs, stories, art, like, that's really what I gravitate to. Anything that kind of has that kind of, aside from the sounds, it has something beyond just, you know, what's on the surface. Also, the company's great, you know, so
right.
Warranty wise, that was perfect. I was like, anything happens, cool, they got me.
Absolutely. So about when was that? When did you pick up the Ghost Echo?
Ghost Echo, wow. I would say maybe 2014, 2015, I'm thinking. So, I mean, I would think I've been playing instruments maybe close to 10 years now. So, I mean, like, yeah, I was pretty much traversing from that point onto where I am now, where I have a, yeah, I wouldn't call it a problem, but yeah, it's very much a huge investment in my time of researching or learning about. I'm like a sponge. When I get really into something, I want to know everything about it, even if I don't use said things. Like, I love to hear people talk about, let's say, synths or MIDIs or anything like that, and I'm like, I'm not into it now, but I love learning as much as possible about said things. And yeah, it was the same thing with like gear and stuff like that. Like, I love talking to people. I love connecting. And just the more I learn about this stuff, the more I just get further and further down this lovely rabbit hole.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. So I posted about this recently, but I had an injury to my eyeball in 2011, and so
I think I saw that post. Yeah.
So I've talked about it on the show a few times, but I was on light duty at my job for a while. So I was a heavy truck mechanic. There's not really anything light duty about that job. Like, you go on light duty and you're not supposed to move anything that's more than 20 pounds. And you're like, so I can't even pick up a wrench.
Oh God.
You know, like, there's nothing you can do in that job hardly at all that's light. And so my boss kind of, you know, he was like, well, you know, did you organize those files already? I was like, yeah. He's like, just go hide.
Out of sight, out of mind. Go corner, go that way.
Yeah, he literally had me like counting trailers for no reason. And he finally I was like, I counted them. I did all the counting. I marked all the ones you told me to mark. He's like, just go hide in one then. Until your shift is over, you know? And so I was like, okay. So of course it was not terribly cold or hot. So I'd go, I found a trailer. It's just this was really when I started getting into gear relating to, you know, when you really start diving into something. And I was just poring over forum after forum about tube amps and effects pedals. That's all I was doing for like the last
just
2 hours.
Absorbing it all.
Yeah, of every shift. I was basically just, all right, I'm going to forum dive now and watch Andy Martin demos and like all this stuff. And just
watching demos. Watching demos, going through forums, Discords, talking to people, Instagram, like everything, just diving down this rabbit hole head first.
Yeah. And at the time I had no like intention or idea that I was going to be a part of it. You know, it was just,
neither did I.
was just a consumer, right?
Right. That's where we started.
Yeah, exactly. But so you really at least as far as I'm aware, you really dove off the deep end even further. You're like, okay, I'm going to start doing demos. And each one's going to take me 300 years to make.
Yes, because I am a glutton for punishment and I like making my life difficult. Is it challenge? Is it extreme? Yes.
Yes. I guess we should explain what we mean by that. So were your first demos these animated ones, or were you doing?
No, my first demos, if you scroll on my IG, which is I am Joan of Heart, and you go back, I guess like early 2021, you will see the first iterations of like what the demo channel started to be. And I think my first one was a Tulpa Effects, what was it? Hold on, wait. Yeah, it was one of his fuzzes. Oh my God, why am I drawing a blank? But yeah, his photos was great. I still have it. The other one I did later was the Flatwoods, just great stuff. That was the first one. The other one after that, I was a beta tester for Mass Effect's The Expanse. And while I was playing with that, I was like, well, why don't I make a really creative demo where like it's really creative in the sense where I have pop culture references. It's really goofy and silly and some kind of imagery that kind of plays with what I'm playing at the same time. Why don't we just, again, like everything that I do is like, let's have fun, essentially, is what it is. So with that one, with filming, I still vividly remember tying the pedal onto a fishing rod and having my partner across the way roll it up like it was taking flight above me, like, oh God, look, we're floating away. Like really campy, like I eat that stuff up. So yeah, it's that kind of absurd humor, and whatever's happening is really happening is really what I love when it comes to like comedy and just having fun.
That's great. That's phenomenal. Well, and obviously people are enjoying it. You get a lot of interaction. It's like, it's not the biggest channel in the world, but it's relatively new as well. And people really are drawn to it, which is why I wanted to have drawn. Haha, see what I accidentally did there. Oh boy.
I see what you did there.
But doing the animation and everything, like, do you have a background in this stuff, or where did you learn that?
Animation is only really the most recent part of my education over the last year, and I got into it for a very specific reason, which I'll get into. But everything prior, I am a graphics professional of over, I guess, about at this point, 20 years. I'm a consultant at this point, freelance. Yeah, all the Adobe software, Premiere, video stuff I did commercially, working for a computer company, like I would say, Tiger Direct Comp USA for like about 5 years, when I'm in my mid-20s. And yeah, their editing department, creative department, corporation I worked with. And then after that, I've worked in an architecture firm. Like I've worked in many different kind of areas, and I learned quite a lot over the years. But when I joined, when I went to college, one of the things I always wanted to do was to learn animation. I love 3D animation, just animation in general. I grew up watching cartoons, like, of course, voice acting I always wanted to get into because, of course, I grew up with, like, my dad. We would recite the lines to each other, and, it would be a fun thing for us to kind of do with each other. But when I got into this, it was kind of exploring some kind of thing I wanted to do because I couldn't do in college. And for my career, I always did things for what my client wanted and never really for myself. I really wanted to do something that was for me. And in navigating going into animation, it was kind of in a sense of, I got really sick in 2021 mid-year, where I could only eat about 5, maybe 7 things. I was questioning mortality quite a bit because they didn't know what was wrong with me. I kind of thought that I was dying. So the channel really comes out of, and the Sunlight specifically was, I guess, my last hurrah. If I wanted to go, if this was it, no regrets. In any of the time that I didn't feel well, as a creative distraction, I used that as learning animation, and tried to focus on that as a creative, way of kind of exploring something that I hadn't done before. And for me, I guess before whatever was happening was going to happen. But obviously, I am still alive. They figured out what it was, and I guess I have to keep doing this, right? Apparently, I'm supposed to do this, so someone get me going.
Yeah. Well, I'm very glad that they figured it out. That makes me very happy.
Me too.
Yeah, that's great. I was like, wow, this took a turn that I wasn't
that's
expecting.
usually when I talk to people. They're like, "How did you get started in this?" And they're thinking some kind of like, "Well, yes, that was really what I wanted to do, and all the reasons." Like, no, it's really a dark reason.
Oh,
but out of
dying.
I thought I was dying. So out of the dark, I guess the darkness, and I think it's really important as artists, and it's part of our job to go into the darkness and find the light. And that's kind of what I think through all that I did find.
Mm-hmm. I think so. You've got a lot of light going on.
I'm being raised as sunshine.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, was that something that I maybe missed that you did talk about publicly, or was it more just... I
think in the times that some people I've talked to, I guess on some other podcasts and just in general, if you talk to me directly and I kind of talk to you long enough, I guess you'd know that about me. But no, I never really kind of talked about it because I guess I didn't want to distract away from obviously the creative aspect of it and what it was. And also I didn't want to say, oh, look at me, pity party kind of thing. Like,
Right.
I just wanted to focus on, this is what I did. This is where we're going with it. Obviously I survived that, thank God. And, where do we go now with this now that obviously anything is possible? Where can we go? What can we do? What can we find? What can we discover? How can I film things in ways that I always learn something new, which makes me better, than I already I had a lot coming into this, but what else can I learn? How can I get better at mixing sound? How can I get better at finally having this opportunity to voice act myself?
Yeah.
How do I change it up with each character? Like when I'm writing storyboards, how do I become these characters that a lot of people end up falling in love with or making memes and tagging me in or reciting to their friends. That's what I loved about the Sunlight the most. When I had people that, would tell me, oh, I sent this to my friend and we were both for the past week, saying lines to each other like a joke thing. And that really made me feel good. It was like, oh, I created something in somebody else's life that I used to do with my dad. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of, in a way, I'm doing a good ripple. I'm leaving that, at least. If somebody watches these things and for 30 minutes or so forgets everything and just goes back to having the curiosity of a kid and just having fun and just in a place that makes them happy, I did a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. You talked about the responsibility of the artist briefly, and that's something that has come up occasionally on this show, but most notably probably with my friend Devon. He's, it's kind of funny to hear two different people whose videos, styles, and work I really appreciate and and kind of blown away by, both kind of echo that same point that artists have a responsibility. I think a lot of us want to feel like we don't, we don't owe it to anybody to create anything. And I think that I see both sides of that, but there is some level of what his point was there is that there are people who can't do these things for one reason or another, whether they don't have access to the tools, they just don't have that skill, whatever, insert whatever reason it is here. I mean, there's things I'll never be LeBron James. There's lots of reasons I can't dunk. I'm short. I'll
never be Nita Strauss. It's all right. I'm fine with that.
It's okay, right? Yeah, but I feel like there is some level of I don't want to call it responsibility, but I don't know what other word that there is for it. You need to do it because you're the only one that can do whatever it is that you're doing. And I've let that weigh on me a little bit in some ways. Sometimes that's good pressure, and sometimes it's a bit overwhelming.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming at times. But I guess from my standpoint, and I'll bring it back to Devon, because to be honest, besides Get Offset and when they had Devon on the show for that episode, that it was like 2-hour episode. Listening to Devon talk about being a musician and an artist and seeing his work and everything, I have said many times how grateful and thankful I am to him, because part of the reason why I have this channel is because I listen to him speak. He is one of the reasons that I am basically on this route that I am with music and also with this animation channel. I find that his work is extremely inspiring to me. I mean, we do different things, but just the artistry and just everything he sets up with his pedal demos, like it's the props even behind and the filming and the lights, like just so much consideration and attention to detail and passion, and so good. I could gush. I love his work.
I love his work. He's also one of my favorite people. I've had him on two or three times now. I can't remember. I think 3 times. 2 just like chats, and then one time we debuted some music on here as well. But he's one of the people that, especially during the lockdown, like we found ourselves on phone calls randomly, and we'd be on the phone for 4.5 hours.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
I'm just wandering around the neighborhood. And we're just talking about cameras. It starts with cameras, and then it just goes down not cameras at all.
Yep, that's another thing that we're into here too, is cameras. Like I love lens babies. Like we have like film TLRs, like you think Rolleiflex and stuff like that. So I mean, we're into cameras here in this house too. So yeah, we can have those conversations too, Blake.
I know almost nothing about it, to be honest. I just go to Devon. I'm like, is this cool?
Can I do this? Is this cool? Okay, you approve. Okay, good.
Or just like I'll find something online. I'm like, this vintage lens looks cool. Is it? Oh, don't get that one. They
don't get that.
Whatever. Yeah,
that's a good friend. Don't do that.
yeah. Or be like, you want this one? I'd be like, that's okay. I'll take that one then. We actually, when he came to Portland here for the Chase Bliss put on the pedal party here at the local brewery, we saw, it was not a huge show, so we saw everything pretty quickly, and a lot of it was stuff we were already familiar with. So he's like, let's go somewhere else. And so I was like, I have the spot for you. We have a store in Portland called Blue Moon Camera and Machine.
Yes, I went there too. So when I saw that photo, I commented on it and I was like, you went there?
Yes. He was like, you have this here? Whoa.
Yes. I wish they had that where I lived. When I visited Portland, we went there too. And I was like, they don't have any of it. They don't even have, like, aside from like big box, like Guitar Center and Sam Ash, they don't even have like guitar like stores here, really. It's only the big names here. I live in South Florida, so like in Miami, we only have the corporation like kind of run stuff. We don't have the little mom pop kind of stuff. It's very much, if I had to find that, I'd have to drive an hour or more outside to find anything run by anyone other than like, a big guitar.
I don't know where in Florida this is, and I also realize that Florida is a big state.
Yes,
so this could be a stupid
huge
statement.
tracts of land. Yes.
Walt Grace Vintage, I know, is in Florida, and I believe they're in
Yes,
Miami.
I've been there. Yes,
okay.
They have the classic cars and they have the guitars. I've been there, and I've played pedals there too. So I'm thankful they're there, but they are a little on the pricey side.
They are a very expensive store, but it's also like, oh, my two loves combined.
Oh, yeah, me too. I also love cars too. So that's why when I go there, yes, there's lots of things we can talk about.
Oh, wow.
I mostly love like imports. And I also, for about 5 years, were in the competition scene, like car shows and stuff like that. I did that too as well. Yeah. So I am very diverse in my background of life lived. So that's why I did the animation thing. But it was like, if I'm going out, looking back on my life, I've been in a lot of things scenes wise, like that I've done very interesting things that you would look at me and not think that I've done or been into.
I want to talk about cars, but maybe we'll save that for Patreon.
Yeah, well, we can save that for can save that for off. Yes.
I'm a big car guy, and I like pretty much all of them. No focus on just American or import, like which? I am a muscle car guy by background. My dad and I built a 69 Camaro when I was a teenager. Nice. So that's my baby. But I love all cars. Like I had a turboed 240 SX for a while that I really enjoyed, and I was really into that whole scene for a minute. But I like pretty much all of it. My dad's like, You're so weird. I was like, no, but I like big trucks. I like slam trucks. I like electric cars. I like it. If it has wheels, I'm into it. Like,
I usually, when I look at cars, when I look at them, I think of them as art in motion. Like it's the way that their curves are, the way that they're designed. Like I love so much about the way cars are designed and the thought put it back, into them. I mean, obviously my range of that is more like 80s, 90s, and the aughts is more my range of time. But yeah, like I mostly love imports. I love some of the older American stuff, but I've been surprised by some of the newer stuff coming out.
Yeah, I think everybody's really stepped their game up in the last few years, pretty much across the board. Even if you look at it from a non-enthusiast perspective, like a bare bones, we have the least car ever for the daily driver, which is a Kia Soul. And it's like the base
the
model.
Hamster car.
Yeah, exactly. It's the base model. The only thing not base about it is it's not a manual transmission. That's the only upgrade. But if you look at that car versus something that was top of the line in 1992, and it's got way more bells and whistles than, top of the line Subaru from 92, right? Yeah. So everybody, even the bottom of the market, has come up significantly beyond what you and I grew up looking at, pretty much.
No, of course. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, with the manual transmission, that would have been pretty fun. Like, I was like, oh no, anti-theft device. Oh, not me, sir. Not me.
Not me. I can get it.
I can steal your car.
I do love a manual transmission.
Me too.
It is
I drive. We have a Subaru, Crosstrek here, and I love that car. But beyond that, I have a Honda S2000, which one of the first ones, Berlina Black, and I had a New Formula Red 2001 some years ago, and I plated a black stripe down the center and the back, so it had its own like red and black, and even carried it into the interior. Oh, it was so good. It was the one that I had to let go at some point, and I still think of.
Yes. Yeah. We all have those. Yeah. It's it's really just that 240 for me. But I look back at that 240 and I'm like, I didn't need to get rid of it. Like, it was my daily driver and I was going to get in trouble because it was pretty fast. And I like to
about the same.
I'd like to put it sideways as often as possible. And
that was fun.
It was a good time. But I'm retrospect, like, I miss it. But I'm also glad it's gone because something bad was going to happen probably. So,
well, I'm glad you're still here and nothing bad happened.
I got way more tickets in my Mini Cooper than I did in that loud, obnoxious 240. Yeah, because I would do these crazy things in the 240 that you shouldn't do on public roads. Allegedly.
I never underestimate, obviously, the car that I look at, because I had a friend that had a Scion XB, and he reinforced, like, blue blocked it and everything. He could take that car sideways and like burn cars that you wouldn't associate a Scion XB with burning.
I wouldn't associate a Scion XB with burning anything. So.
Exactly. I'd been in the car at the time. I was just like, is this really happening? Like, what is going on? Like, my perception of reality is now shifted.
I can't understand what just happened to me.
Yeah, what happened?
This is not supposed to happen.
No. That guy is now going to go home and rethink his life. Look what you did to them. Look what you did to that Porsche.
He's weeping.
Look what you did to him.
The guy in the Porsche is weeping. He's weeping.
He's now going to go sell that car.
Trade it for a Scion XB and then be even more confused.
Yep, he's going to drop a 2ZZGE right in it.
That's great. That's fantastic. Well, we better, I don't know how many car people listen to this show, so maybe we'll save that for later.
Maybe we should. We've gotten so off topic, but in a good way, I think.
That's all we do here is get off topic. What do I say? Guitar stuff occasionally sometimes. I gave up on trying to keep it on track, and we share too many interests. There's
yes we do. Now we know this.
So I want to talk about the Ma video, because I think that's the one I watched and then rewatched and then was like, wow.
You rewatched it? Thank you. I did rewatch it.
Yeah.
I really love it when I hear people say that they watch something more than once, that it has rewatchability.
I couldn't wrap my mind around how you did all of that.
How I did it. Oh, honestly, when I go into a demo, there's situations where I'm like, how the fuck am I going to do this? Like, it's several weeks of like trying to figure out or get my mind like in the game, like, okay, you have to do this. You have to do this. Like, how do we do this? How do we figure it out? How am I set up now? Oh my God, I have to reroute everything to do that. All right, well, let me dedicate this time at night on this day. Like, and I was also like, at the time, it was right before, I've also been navigating construction noise. So that's why the Alvi took me a little bit longer. That would have been a shorter demo. But with the maw, I had to figure out with the mouths. Normally, the program that I use is essentially built for like one mouth control, like eyes, like it's almost like a marionette that I put together.
Maybe
and then can control
real
and
quick
animate.
For the people that don't know what we're talking about, we just said maw, and they might not even know what that
Oh,
is.
yes, of course.
So let's back up. So you did a very intense demo for the Old Blood Noise maw. What is the maw?
The maw is basically a microphone audio workstation. It can work with your guitar. It can work with a dynamic mic, which is basically what I focused that demo on, because none of the detriment of what other demos were out there, but I kind of, in a lot of, when I was thinking about doing this demo, when Seth reached out to me to do something, I think they were one of the first people to ever come out and say, hey, you want to do this, you know? And when thinking about it, I was like, you know, looking at the demos, I was like, I haven't seen anyone approach this from like a singer's point of view. I would actually like to think of this in the vein of, okay, if I'm a singer in a band, I want to take this on stage. How can I think about this in the context if I'm a cover band, tribute, or even if I want to just do this in a sense where I want to make cool sounds that just aren't making strange sounds, like, you know, late at night, and I want to use this as like a workstation, like a workhorse to like do things. And I thought the really cool thing about the maw was the fact that you also had an effects loop. And I know people didn't show that either. So I was like, oh, there's so many unique opportunities that not only could I show this being used in a context of like cover songs and things like this, because I'm not monetized. So I'm just like, aha, you can't give me strike. I make no money anyway. You can't get me. I can do what I want, at least for now. But yeah.
I better go back and bump up your watch hours then.
Yes. Yeah, I'm like at 780 out of like 4,000, like at the rate of speed of snail that I am going. I don't know really if I'm ever going to make monetized. I mean, everything's been out of pocket so far. And yeah, like, I mean, I just made merchandise, which is great. I figured I could, you know, tomorrow after we're talking is actually the year anniversary for my channel. So nice. I figured, hey, you know, it's been a year. Why don't I just make some kind of merchandise that if you've been watching all along, you get the reference. And it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not actually either. I keep, because I just, it's always been like the back burner thing that I do. Mm-hmm. And I finally, and I've said this for like 2 years or 3 years, like, I'm going to focus on it now. I'm going to actually put some effort into it. And this time I really mean it. I'm going to do it this time. So I got some more videos I'm working on. They're Good. Nothing like what you do, but I just...
No one does what I do. They were smart. They're smart.
But I got to say, you know, for all of the problems with YouTube, I have to give them credit where credit's due. It's the only platform where I can put something out there and people actually find it, like new people actually find it. The algorithm seems to be like, oh, Blake put out something. I guess we'll actually show this to a couple people. Whereas sometimes on IG, I'm like, I've been making stuff on here for close to 10 years, and now it's starting to just get clamped and clamped and clamped. And then I'll put a meme, and that'll do good. And then it
of course,
and clamped and clamped and clamped. I love
you memes. Include cats, and you're like skyrocket.
but YouTube, it's like I get what I put in, and I just haven't put enough into it. You know, maybe I'm scarred from the one time I tried to do 30 videos in 30 days, and then
God, why did you do that to yourself, you poor man?
Well, I got to like 12 or something, and then my whole that's when we got put on a evac notice. and the whole area was on fire, and I was just like,
yeah, that's totally understandable. Evac, please.
we didn't end up having to evac. But I was like, I can't do this. I'm not in a mental space to do this anymore. But it was working. That's the thing that's upsetting. It was working, and I just couldn't handle it anymore.
Yeah, it's hard to upkeep that kind of like, consistency. And the closest thing I did to that was She Shreds used to have, or they still do every so often, the a rad or riff of the day for like a full month. And I did in January, like all 31 days. Like the point I was like, on some of my sickest days, I was still doing it, like, and by the end of it, I was like, I'm glad I did this. I never want to do this again. I never want to do this again. And let's even bringing it back to the mall. In total, like when I put it together, I never really know how long these videos are. I consistently do about 30 minutes, it looks like, for my demos without even like meaning for it to be there. It just ends up always at about 30 minutes. But with the mall, that was like pretty much like an hour. So the whole time, like I'm making this, I'm like graciously saying it even afterwards, if you watch any of this, I appreciate it. An hour is a long time. Thank you so much. Anybody who watched anything of this. And yeah, I'm not going to do an hour again. That almost killed me. I can't do an hour again. I mean, the more features a pedal has, the more I have to explain or more I have to do.
Right.
So yeah, like that was a lot.
I've taken the I don't know if this is, I guess it's kind of the lazy way, but I've taken the lazy way on highly or very in-depth pedals. And I'm just like, I'm going to show you 3 to 5 sounds that I like in this. I'll show you the settings for how to get there.
That's the right way to do it.
You can read the manual to learn how to run this thing. That is not my job. So
yeah, that's the right way of going about it.
Like, I had to read the manual. I'll show you the sounds. I'll show you what I can make it do. You figure it out. Because, but at the same time, then there's people like Mark Johnson, who does 2-hour videos going over everything, and I'm like, man, I'm such a wuss.
That's one of the jokes I was kind of making with friends here and there, and I was like, I'm giving Mark a run for his money. I'm at an hour. I'm coming for you, Mark.
I'm coming for you.
I'm coming for you. No, I'm not. No,
I'm not doing
dedication,
no 2-hour
man.
video.
Yeah, no, dedication. He does great work. So yeah, that's another person I liked. I feel like I'm spread thin sometimes, and I'd love to be more involved in certain areas. And catch everyone's demo when they release. But now it's just like, okay, throughout the week, and when everyone drops it the same day, it's like, oh, I get you today during my lunch. I get you during my, I'm trying to fit people in to watch, because I love these channels, not just the people, but I love the creativity that they add. Like even like, besides Get Offset or Davon or Ann Solowski or Working Class Music, like, Emily Hopkins, there's just so many like channels that are so wildly creative and fun that I always look forward to see what they create next.
Yeah, exactly. And I always do. And I'm always like, man, I gotta step my game up. I'm not even close to anybody that you just mentioned. So it's,
I mean, to be honest, like I always say this to other people, just get started. I mean, it doesn't mean you don't start at where those people you're watching are. And, you learn things as you go and you find your own direction, your North Star. It's, again, you start with certain equipment, then you end up shedding that skin, and then you find other angles or equipment in which you use later, which you improve the quality and what you want to do over time. You're not going to be good at this out the gate, and you have to have patience, and you have to be kind to yourself, and just keep going. Whatever your life gets in the way, and sometimes it's okay. If things get in the way, take a break. Don't guilt yourself. You'll get back into it when you do, and when you have vigor, or if you don't have gray clouds, that'll be great. Like, it's possible. Just
definitely. Just do, though. Do it at some
exactly.
point.
Just do. That's it. It doesn't matter where you start.
I mean, a perfect example. I know we brought him up like he's just the best, but Devon's first video was with his iPhone. He did the Cooper Effects Generation Loss with, I'm pretty sure that's the pedal. 99% sure that's the pedal he did. And I know he did his first video with his iPhone. And you wouldn't know that looking at it, but it shows you what you can do with the phone that's in your pocket. It's crazy what you can do with these things now.
No, of course. Like everything is really at at your arm's reach. I mean, even like you could even think about, even if an iPhone isn't within your affordability, you can even use those little GoPros, like a used one. Like I had a used Hero 4 and I bought like somebody's like used Hero 5 for my first videos, like Sunlight and things like that, for like, you know, for the house band, certain overhead cam. I moved the 5 GoPro now over to my pedal board. So when I do live streams or if I want to show the pedal board while the house band is playing, that's just a GoPro little small camera that's who knows how old now. Like
Right.
it's, if it works and it does 1080p or 4K or whatever, great, use it. Like if it's, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, even this webcam I'm using now, it's not the best for everything, and it's a very expensive webcam but it's still like it's $300. You know, it's not bad, and it's motorized. I can scroll around and stuff, and zoom in, and it has overhead mode. It has all these cool little things that have made my process just 100 times faster. I don't have to get my whole Blackmagic rig out every single time I have an idea.
Yeah, if you don't have to drag things out. Yeah, like anytime I have to reroute my whole board to like film something specifically. Oh my God. That was one of the reasons why I got rid of the Captor X, because it was like I had my board routed a certain way. And in order to basically have my AC-15 behind me, my Vox, to basically record that, I had to reroute my entire board and everything just for that snare. And I was like, oh, and I can't hear it in the room even. So I'm just like, oh, this was a mistake. But it became someone else's joy. You know, I sold it. And then, of course, with that, I ended up getting a mastery bridge for my Jazz Master. So, I mean, everyone ended up happy. So,
yeah, that worked out.
It worked out.
I need a Captor, actually, or something like it. I really want to. I've went miking.
It does great for what it does. Yeah.
Yeah. I've done a lot of like old school miking amps. I've done a lot of that. And I still do a lot of that. And then I've done a lot of direct plug-in stuff. But I've never done the in-between, plugging your amp into a Captor or something, or an aux or whatever. I've played with all of these things in other people's rigs and setups.
But you haven't done it for yourself.
Never done it for myself. And I really, really, really want to try it.
I think you'll have a fun exploration of doing that. Yeah, it's in itself, its own journey. Yeah, I've learned so much. Just basically when I got my JC40, like the fact that I could go out the outs and then go into my pedal board, you know, hold on, wait. Yeah, I can basically go into my pedal board and then from there go into my DAW while still getting the amp sound of the JC. It was just great. And I was like, oh, that's the reason why I went to go look for the Captor, because I was just like, oh, maybe I can get my tube amp to do the same thing.
Right.
It wasn't as easy or simple an operation. So yeah, like
how does it work?
It basically plugs in, at least for the Captor X. You basically plug into the input, you know, then basically when you have the Captor X controlling out of the, well, at least for my Vox, the external SP out, and that's basically going to be the part that's going into your DAW.
Okay, got it.
So it's basically like, I would think, a in-between box for communicating between your, you know, audio interface and your, you know, obviously your amp. And whatnot. I mean, it makes it easy. They have their own like IRs and cab sims and everything. And that itself also comes with its own learning curve if you have, you know, the patience to then navigate that as well.
I've done a little bit of that. In fact, it's actually been, I've got this IR loader that I use. It's a STL Tones one, I believe. I think it's free, if I'm not mistaken. But
free ones are great.
You can load it stereo, mono. You can do whatever and load whatever IRs you want into it. Yeah, the Captor does
stereo too. Yep.
Yeah. But I can't plug like a tube amp into it. But I have had really good luck plugging some amp in a box pedals directly into it.
Nice. Yeah.
The Does It Doom wall purchase. I did a video on that not too long ago. And it's basically an IOMI in a box type of situation. It's designed to recreate the sound of that rig. And I plugged that straight into this cab sim. And I was like, this sounds ridiculously good. Like,
you'd be surprised.
It's
yeah.
crazy.
Like even this past like week, because it's like around the holidays, I had some family kind of pull together to get me like a present. And I got the Ruby from UA. And it's basically because the Captor X didn't work. I was still bummed that I couldn't have that Vox sound still, and I miss it a lot. Like, I don't play through it as much, and with my high ceilings, miking it never really sounded great,
Right.
for at least for me anyway. So yeah, the past couple of days I've been kind of exploring it, and I was like, oh, this is what I miss, because I've been putting distortion through it, running through its paces, the mess around and find out kind of phase.
Yes.
And
Yes.
yeah, it's really been great so far. I'm still learning it. But yeah, hearing some of the distorted tones that I liked hearing out of the box in that, and I was like, and this was really the first time I've had really a pedal that was a real like cab, like a amp sim. I was like, I am actually rather surprised by this, and the fact that it's a stereo too, which my box can't do. So I was like, I'm already like that much of improvement over my previous situation, which I couldn't do a lot of things, even though it was that connection point between the two, like the Apollo, my audio face, and DAW, and it didn't have that kind of capability that this does and sound that way.
Yeah, the UA line that they've come out with recently is absolutely bonkers. I didn't spend much time with the Ruby, but a little bit.
Everyone's with the Dream.
The
is
Dream.
What everyone's been, yeah.
The Dream was nuts. It's like, this is the best not Fender I've ever played. This sounds great. This is so cool. I love the Dream, but what I think gets a little bit slept on, I think the Dream is the one that everyone thinks of, but their reverb, the Golden.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
It's so good. It is so good.
It'll be on my list, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, the Golden's phenomenal. I love it so much. I've spent a lot of time with that one. I have that one here, and it's hard for me not to like put it on everything.
Yeah, but that's what I was about to say. I put that on everything. It doesn't even need reverb. Put it on anyway.
Yeah, I put it on anyway.
I put it on.
Doesn't need
it's like cranberry sauce.
I don't even understand. Doesn't need reverb. Everything needs reverb.
Everything needs reverb.
I'm gonna put reverb on this podcast. Why not?
Yes, we will. Hold on. Wait. Hold on.
Oh.
We will now put it on our voice. And we will talk with a reverb here. It's so great and lovely. There we go.
Thank you so much for that. I needed that.
You're welcome.
More than I realized. That was wonderful.
You asked, you said we needed it, so obviously I put it on in that moment for you.
That was your speed with it was really impressive. You're like, oh, I got that. Don't worry.
I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
So cool. So have you gotten to do, I mean, obviously you've talked about some of the things you've gotten to do. I know that I have a handful of experiences from doing gear stuff that I just never thought I would get to do as a musician. Have you had any cool experiences that kind of exceeded your previous expectations?
Are you talking with the channel or just in general?
Just in general. Maybe things that happened in life. Like, I got a free hot dog one day or something.
Yeah, through the process of kind of going down this road again since the podcast that I listened to, I heard Dave on wax poetically about musicianship and artistry. I then basically started to put my own stuff out there. And aside from putting myself out there, I started to basically go on to sites to try to meet other musicians, to think band mix and stuff like that. And I ended up connecting with someone that was kind of local, maybe 35, 45 minutes from here. And we started to write it about the pandemic. We started to write remotely with each other. And through that process of doing that, we sent our demo of 2 songs to a label at the time, and they ended up liking what we had, and I ended up driving up to Atlanta, and so did he, and we ended up going in to record these 2 songs, which eventually was put out. So I did in 2021 have a music project which was called Beneath Velvet Skies. It's under a label called Phi Tribe, and it got pretty much a lot of views. So that was I guess I done something outside the ordinary even before the channel, in which I had something that a label put out and I made music video for, filmed everything of us doing things, playing the music, in the garage, out in the world doing things, kind of different scenes, different places. Like, it was a lot of fun to be director to my own project, like a music video. And the guy that I connected with, Jeff Marks, really great guy. I appreciated him. And I am always open to opportunities to connect or work with people because you learn more and you find new opportunities to play music that otherwise sometimes you wouldn't have played yourself. So yeah,
I love
I've
that.
been fortunate to like have that kind of experience going into a vocal booth, singing and doing something that typically you'd associate professionals to do.
Quote, professionals.
Quotations professionals. But yeah, the greatest thing that in that process of doing it and working with the producer was the fact that the direction she gave me, and I'm very much a person when I show up to do said thing, like I show up to work. There's no fucking around like, okay, you need me to do this? Okay, I'm going to nail that. Or you instruct me how you want me to do it? Great, I'll try my best to nail that as best as I can. That's outside my comfort zone. Okay, well, give me like maybe 4 or 5 tries. Let me try to navigate my uncomfortableness, and I think I'll get there. But if you have patience with me and kindness, I can give you all I got.
I love that you just kind of proved the point, right? You just put it out there. You just did it with no expectation.
Just put yourself out. Yeah, no expectation. I did not think, well, I'm going to make this thing and this is going to happen. No, like I don't like there's people that tell me, oh, this is going to be big. What you're doing, like you're going to blow up. And I was like, I don't think I will, but I appreciate that you think that much of what I'm doing and you love it that much to say that. Thank you. Like that may be the only thing that comes out of this, but I thank you for that moment and saying that to me. That means the world. Like I'm so grateful for the people that I've connected with doing this. Not only people with demo channels, but just people in general. I have a Discord, and all the people that I've connected even there that I talk to daily, like they've been the most lovely, charming, kind people, and we all obsess and talk about gear and life, and it's just been something really great. So on top of just doing all this creative stuff, that's been the other like reward for me, is that I've really, really found a way to, I guess, have my people, I guess, that I have found through the process of creating.
It reminds me of my wife, Lynn, and I, we've gotten fortunate to go into some pretty cool situations and interview people that we've always looked up to.
Yeah.
And she's come away a few times from these experiences and she's like, they're just like you, because she's not a musician. She loves music.
They're normal people.
We're talking about like the way certain guitars fade to different colors and like, oh, you see how the nitro's checking, blah, 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 and she's like, they're just like you. I'm like, yeah, they're musicians. Of course they are.
They're just like me. They're just like you.
Exactly. Well, we're getting close to the end of the episode. And usually this is the point where I ask a couple of classic questions that I always wrap this podcast up with. But before I do that, I like to give the guests the opportunity to take the stage. You're talking to a few thousand people right now. You can tell them whatever you want to tell them. You can shout out somebody you want to shout out. You can, leave them with a nice message, plug anything you want to plug. The floor is yours.
No, and thank you, Blake, for obviously offering your platform to me to speak about what I do, about guitars, about cars, about everything we've talked about so far.
Of course.
I really, really would love people to experience my channel, Pedal Playhouse. A lot of fun. I don't take myself seriously. Obviously, we're just having fun. There's pedal demos and gear demos in there, but through exploring all of this, I think humor, comedy, it's really what the root of this is. I've also made at this point my cat as a character with the Albie demo recently, which really frees me up to demo anything, not just pedal. I could do other things as well, because not everything has art on it.
That's right.
It'll free me up, and the internet loves cats, right? So yeah, it really is a place to come to suspend like disbelief. Anything can happen. Anything is possible. Come over and just be a kid again. Like if you ever watch Pee-wee's Playhouse, very similar vein. I have effects pedals coming to life and talking to me, telling me their features, getting annoyed. We get into arguments. Like we laugh, we joke, we threaten each other. Like if there's very times where it's super absurd. There's Easter eggs all the time in the background, or also like pop culture references and things like that. Even if you don't get any of those, these demos are still entertaining enough that in watching, you'll still have a good time. One of the things with the merchandise I have, which is the clean tone in the the soap that goes across the screen, is actually a Mortal Kombat reference. Like, you remember in the arcade with the developer guy, if you do like an uppercut, it's like thirsty.
Yeah.
Like that's the reference.
Yes.
So when the soap bar goes across the screen, clean tone, like that's the reference. So yeah, obscure gamer references. Like, I am just the silly, goofy kid getting the opportunity to animate and kind of make a creative, fun environment in this world where I invite you to. It's more like a show, to be honest. Like, I have to write pedal demo kind of like in the title and whatnot and tags and things, but it's really like episodes are like you're coming to watch a show. And I've seen some of the algorithm, like all the data or whatever, and it shows me what people are looking at as far as like what, obviously phones and iPads. But I was blown away over the fact that people were watching my demos on their TV. Like, we grew up around the living room and just watch it like a Saturday morning cartoon. Like, people were watching it on the TV, and the fact that creating something that's like that, I really hope in watching this that gives you some joy in your day. And it's more or less, to wrap it all up, be the good that you wish to see in the world, be excellent to each other, and just try to cause good ripples. And I appreciate anybody that comments. Please subscribe. You can find me on I am Joan of Hearts on IG. I am on TikTok. I wish I had more followers because I need that 1K to do live streams, which I love. The other place you can find me obviously is Pedal Playhouse on YouTube. I also am a co-host on Get Offset with Emily Harris, and I'm really grateful. She's really lovely to talk to and talk with about gear. I think what we have is pretty unique because we're women who are gearheads and just obsessing about gear and life and things like that. So I entertain you to watch that and tune in as well. She has great demos. And that's pretty much, I am very, I guess for the most part, approachable. If you're kind and respectful, I am too. If you are not, I will respond to you as absurd as your comment is. And we'll see where this rabbit hole goes of who's the most absurd.
Oh boy, that could get deep in a hurry. You can't out absurd the internet.
How absurd can we be?
Oh boy, this is dangerous territory.
It is.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can also back all that up. I wanted to have you on for all those reasons. I think you're doing something really cool, and I wanted to put more people in tune with it. And yes, please, everybody, go watch all of her videos on repeat so she can get up to
That's gonna be a lot.
Status.
4,000. I'm at 780, I think.
It adds up quick.
I hope so.
Just if we can get 20 people to go over there and watch every video,
I appreciate
it'll help
that.
a lot.
Yeah.
Go do it. Go do it.
I'm grateful.
All right, classic questions. Here we go.
Fire away.
First one. What is your favorite boss pedal?
Oh, my favorite boss pedal? All right, my first boss pedal was a DMW. Yeah, DM2W was my favorite one, and I am sad that the custom switch stopped working, and I can't get anyone to fix it. So yes, that is my first. Yes, that is my tragic love story of loss. So yes, I had a friend or person in the Discord go up. There was a Craigslist in Boston. They had an old vintage DM2 that he managed to snag and send down for me. So now I have another actual DM2.
That's
now as well. Cool. So I have found my love again.
The DM2 is wonderful.
Yeah, the DM2 is lovely.
Really great pedal. Good call. All right, final question. This is the one that gets a little dicey, a little controversial.
All right. Yeah. I'm bracing myself.
What is your favorite kind of pizza?
I know there's going to be a huge division on my answer. But obviously I'm going to have to go with the tried and true pineapple on pizza.
Oh, well, they got to delete this episode.
Yeah, I know it was coming. I could have said something worse, like, pickles and ranch. I've had once and it was pretty good. I mean,
I'm not a big ranch guy, but pickles.
I'm not either, though. I'm a pickle person. Yeah.
I love pickles. So pickles over pineapples any day for me.
Okay.
I just don't like pineapples.
We can call it a draw. A draw.
I've said this a million times on the podcast. A lot of people don't like pineapples on pizza specifically. I specifically just don't like pineapples on anything.
Okay.
Yeah, so it
Yeah,
has
sweet
nothing
and
to do with.
savory, I like. Yeah.
I like sweet and savory, just not pineapples. I just don't like pineapples.
You're
I
like,
don't know
get
why.
out, and pineapples in the room. Get out.
Get out, out. I think it's almost a texture thing because it's not like I don't
Maybe,
hate
yeah.
pineapple juice. I love al pastor when the chunks. Of
Yes,
pineapple
I
are
love
not
that.
in it.
Yes, I love those as well.
I want the pineapple chunks out, but I love the flavor of the meat. So it's not like the pineapple itself that drives me crazy. I think it's the weird.
The combination.
stringy-
Yeah, I think it's that because for me, if I had my choice, if it didn't kill me, I also, as a topping, like bacon with the pineapple, which is, again, if you take away the cheese, kind of like an al pastor. So, I mean, that's, yeah, I like that combination, but I don't have a gallbladder, so fat content is an important thing. So I can't do the bacon.
Oh no.
No, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, it's better than the alternative, right?
Well, of course.
Yeah.
You only YOLO, right? We can say that still, right?
I think so. I think we're allowed to say that. Well, maybe we're too old for that.
Maybe we're dating ourselves. You know what? Actually, my content is just dating me left and right. I'm fine with that. Totally fine with that.
Oh yeah, I think people have figured out my age a long time ago because it's
My looks are deceiving. Trust me. I look like a kid, but yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for doing this. We'll slide over
thanks
to
for
Patreon.
having me.
Yeah, and see what kind of nonsense we can get into.
Of course.
All right, everybody. For Joe, this is Blake, and as always, folks, good luck and good tones. Thank you so much for hanging out this week. I really, really appreciate it. If you would consider doing the whole YouTube thing, the liking, the commenting, the subscribing, the sharing, all that good stuff would really, really help me out very, very much. And if you want more content, there are over 300, actually, I think it's now like 332 episodes of the audio version of this podcast, wherever you get your audio podcast, whether that's Spotify, Apple, whatever. It's in all the places. You can check it out. There are multiple episodes with Robert Keeley, Josh Scott, Brian Wampler, a bunch of different pedal people, Kyle Gass from Tenacious D, Frank Garrow from My Chemical Romance. The list is long. There are so many rad people that have came on over the years, and that's all available in your audio podcast player. If you'd like to support this show, if you'd like to keep it going, please consider going to Patreon. Patreon.com/ToneMob is the place, and every week I'm putting out bonus episodes, usually with that week's guest, and this week is no exception. This week we're talking about how we would have been burned at the stake as witches. We talk about time travel. We talk about cars. We talk about, of course, more guitar gear related stuff. So please check that out. It's just $5 a month, and it really, really helps out a lot. And there is a lot of content behind there. A lot. So again, thank you so much. I hope you're doing well, and Happy New Year.